Okay, so we are live on a Tuesday morning for a change. It's just going to be Jason and I today. Paul has to work for a living.
Right.
I shouldn't make fun of that. Good for you, Paul. Um, and so we're going to talk a little bit of Iowa Spring football. Unfortunately, neither one of us got to the game. But I worked really hard on Saturday and Sunday at gathering all the information I could find, videos, and putting them all on our Facebook pages so that you guys could have all the information you wanted. And we're going to try to kind of talk about it today and just kind of organize it a little bit in our thoughts in our heads and stuff. And okay, I know the key thing everybody was anxious to see was the quarterback position, so we'll start there.
Same here.
Um, the one thing I do know is you know, he is not. I'm McNamara is not going full board in 11 on 11, and in the videos that I saw on 7, he looked quite sharp. However, if you look really closely, nobody's rushing him; they're letting him pass. And so,
Well,
but
yeah, but that's
you
what
know,
7-on-7 is.
it is. Oh, I did not know that he couldn't be rushed on 7 on 7. No
No,
wonder
no,
he
no.
doesn't do 11 on 11. He gets
He's on
tackled then.
7-on-7 is like you're on a time limit, so you get like 4 seconds to throw. Depends on the
Oh,
time.
okay. All right.
But it's about reading the defense and getting the ball out.
Okay.
Like he
Which
could
I think
sit there and hold the ball forever.
Yeah, which he did. I mean, he actually did a really amazing job, I
Yeah,
thought, and
he has some really good throws.
yeah, he did. And so, let's just start there. Let's talk about our number one QB as confirmed by Kirk. I mean,
We all
as
knew.
if anybody was going to be surprised by that.
Right, right.
So, talk about what you saw from him because I know you looked at those videos pretty good because you sent us all those video clips.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited about the
Hmm.
quarterback position. Um, and Cade looked every bit of the part. He is, like I said before, he's the most accurate quarterback Iowa has had since probably Drew Tate. So, and he showed it. Now you
Hmm.
can see he doesn't have. He still put some zip on the ball, but it wasn't like very much. Like he doesn't have the cannon that Peters has, right?
Hmm.
But the ball's going to get in the right spot, which is, and it's actually more catchable because it's a tighter spiral and it's not coming as hard, right?
Right.
So the receivers aren't going to drop near as many balls as they did with the other quarterbacks.
Yeah. I
And
know
even
the
Stanley, he doesn't even have Stanley's arm either. But
right.
he's pinpoint, which is what I think Brian's offense needs is an accurate quarterback, somebody who could just read the defense. Like we've had these cannon arms, but the completion percentage is in the 50s. And actually, that goes all the way back to, I think, realistically, I think might be Vandenberg or Stanzi is the last one to actually have a 60% completion percentage. So it goes quite a ways back.
Yeah.
But I think Cade is going to smash that. I think he'll probably complete 65% of his passes or more.
Hmm.
Um, and I just think that like those they're going to get more touchdown passes in the red zone, which they couldn't throw the ball very much because they didn't want Petrus to turn it over, right?
Right.
Stanley, on the other hand, he had 48 touchdowns and only one pick in the red zone. So most of Stanley's touchdowns came in the red zone. And I think that's kind of what Cade is going to be because the route concepts, everything work great in the red zone.
Hmm.
The receivers are usually wide open, and we always see open receivers. That's why people call out the quarterback, right?
Right.
You can't call out the quarterback and say that the offense was bad when you see wide open receivers. So that's what's going to fix that.
Right.
And Cade is every much a part. He looked the part, and he got the ball out on time, which is the most important. This is what's going to help the offensive line too, right? He is going to see everything when he says hike, when he calls a play, whatever he gets up there. He will see it quicker than Peters did because
Oh yeah.
he
I
can
would.
read a defense better.
Yeah, I think he'd get the ball out definitely a lot quicker. And if this ball doesn't have as much zip on it, which would be good because some of those receivers last year, those balls were hitting their hands so hard they couldn't hang on to them.
Right, right. No, that's my point was the ball's going to come out sooner than it did with Petrus, but it won't get there as fast. So
Right.
he can anticipate, which is to me the most important in college football. In the pros, you got to be able to zip the ball in because
Right.
the coverages are tight. So I don't know what kind of pro Mac would be, but for college, he's going to be the perfect Ken Dorsey type quarterback. He's going to get the ball out early. He's going to anticipate.
Right.
The ball is going to get to the right spot, and the receivers are going to be able to catch it. It's not going to come in at 100 mile an hour. So I feel like, I think Mac's the perfect quarterback for Brian's offense, and that's what has me so excited.
And I have a tendency to agree with you. I know how people were upset in the conference earlier this week when Brian says we're not going to change what we do. We're just going to do it better. And you know how people got angry, but basically, I don't want to. I want to talk about this a little bit later. But basically, you know, the Iowa coaches have finally admitted that they had an O-line issue last year, and everything is based off that O-line. You can't run the ball. You can't protect the quarterback. The quarterback can't get the ball out.
I disagree with all of that, but okay.
Do you? Okay. All right. We'll talk about that when we get to the O-line.
I showed so many videos of Petrus having all day to throw the ball. You completely missed it. If Cade was a quarterback last year, they win the West because Cade would complete those passes to those wide open receivers.
Right.
So you can't. Yeah, the line wasn't up to speed, right? But you can't call out the offensive line when they did protect well and the quarterback still missed.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Nate Stanley didn't have a great O-line. I showed videos of him breaking tackles. You can't think of one play, Petrus, where he broke up tackle in the pocket, got outside like Nate Stanley did. There's so many times Nate Stanley got blitzed right against Michigan. Nate Stanley got sacked 8 times, right? The offensive line hasn't been there for a while. We can call out having Linderbaum, Wirfs, Jackson, right? Which is what Nate had, but they didn't block. Wirfs did his job. But Linderbaum was a true freshman. So, like, if you go back and look, all our quarterbacks have been getting sacked for a while now. It's nothing new. The difference is Petrus could not complete the passes when they were there, when the line blocked, right?
That's true. You're absolutely true. But as we all know, that Petrus was the golden boy of the staff last year, or at least that one member on the staff, the only one, the only opinion that counts.
Yes, I was going to say. Well, and it wasn't the golden boy. That's kind of blown because I learned from talking to people the facts that the reason Kirk wanted Petrus was nothing more than he did not turn the ball over in practice. Joey and Padilla would turn the ball over. Joey would make the defense look silly sometimes, but then he would turn the ball over trying to make a play, right? Something the Iowa fans beg the quarterback to do is try to make a play. But Kirk doesn't like that, right? Because he doesn't want that turnover. So the reason Petrus wasn't the golden boy, he just was the dude that took a sack or did something where he wouldn't throw a pick, right?
Okay.
That was the real thing, is he would do the smart decision according to Kirk, which meant there was no big plays happening.
This is where we need Paul inserted, but he doesn't turn the ball over.
Right. I mean, he really didn't. In 3 years, he threw, 15 interceptions or something?
Yeah, but he had one bad game.
Yeah, he threw 4 against Purdue, but that was on Brian as well. Yeah. They were throwing the ball every down in the last I think he threw 3 of them in the last 4 minutes of the game.
Yeah, he did, trying to catch up.
Yeah. So I mean, I understood that, but all the other times he didn't really make mistakes. He just didn't win you the game, right?
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about if the season were to start today, our number 2 quarterback is Deacon Hill. But Joey's a close third right now, according to.
Well, yeah, that's not necessarily true. Coming out of spring, Hill is number 2 based on the talent, right? But he doesn't know the playbook. Joey knows the playbook. So if the season were to start, Joey would be number 2. Hill would be number 3, but they did a real quarterback evaluation this time,
Hmm.
right?
Right.
They did it the way it should be done. In the spring, it's not really about learning the playbook. Obviously, you're learning the playbook, but it's about what you can do. And apparently, Hill looks better than Joey right now as far as the physical tools. Not really throwing picks. If you notice, Joey threw 2 or 3 picks,
Hmm.
and Hill didn't really. Hill looked pretty good. Hill has a cannon of an arm. He's a big dude.
Man,
So
is he big? God, I saw him up there go, man, that guy got to lose some weight.
yeah, he's a big dude. So Hill is like the traditional Iowa quarterback,
Hmm.
right? The big guy.
Hmm.
But he's got a lot of work to do, just like Mac does.
Right.
I'm hearing so many great things about Mac going in at 4 a.m., like making sure he's learning.
Hmm.
And
Yeah,
during the
studying that film.
summer, when he doesn't have school during the summer, he can go full speed ahead on that playbook. That's why he's number 1.
Yeah.
He's number 1, we all know, because of talent. But he has to do something that only Nate Stanley
Hmm.
and Drew Tate have done, and that's learn the playbook, you know, in one season or one off season, right?
Right.
Nate Stanley came in as a true freshman, was the backup quarterback, and started as a sophomore. Drew Tate did the exact same thing. That's
Well,
rare.
I think Drew Tate's first season, didn't they change the offense a little bit because they didn't have any running backs? So they were
No,
moving his pocket quite a bit.
they ran the same. They moved. That's what Iowa wants to do, though. They want to do that. They're going to do that with Mac this year.
Right.
They did that with Peters. They got Peters outside the pocket. I mean, I showed you videos of the Nebraska game. Watch the
Right.
first 5 minutes of the Nebraska game. Nobody around him, and Peters would miss. That's
Hmm.
the thing I was always wanting to do. This is the bootleg, right?
Okay. Right.
So, but what they did do is they still, that kind of shows you what Drew Tate is. They still ran the football more than they at the same pace that they do every other year. They didn't have any running backs. They still ran the football. Drew Tate still only threw the ball almost 300 times, right? And Nate Stanley would throw the ball 400 times. And Nate Stanley actually had running backs. So that just shows the difference between Brian
Hmm.
and the former OCs, which is why I like Brian so much, because Brian actually wants to throw the football. Those other OCs didn't. They would still keep pounding the football. And even with Drew Tate with no running backs, they still ran the ball a lot. Now, what Drew Tate did, though, is he picked up third downs, right? That is the key. The key is for Mac would be to pick up those third down plays so Iowa keeps possession
Right.
and keep moving the ball. That will give them more opportunities. Whereas the 3 and outs with Petras, that's why Stanley threw the ball as many times he did. Because he missed a lot of plays too. He only completed 59% of his passes, but he would pick up the third down play to keep the offense going and keep more possessions. And that's what Mac's going to do that Petras couldn't do.
Right. Okay. So, is there any chance Joey leaves if he's not number 1 or number 2?
I mean, there's a chance anybody.
But I mean, he has to do it before the end of this week.
Well, right. At this point, I'm sure he's talking with Kirk about why he's number 3.
Hmm.
And if it's something that Joey doesn't want to fight, because either way, Cade's going to be the starting quarterback the next 2 years, unless Iowa goes 12-0 and even wins the Big Ten championship, and then the NFL will really be looking at him. They'll probably go pro, right?
Right.
So it all depends on the team's success, I believe, if Cade is back for one more year. But he could. So
His schedule's in their favor.
oh yeah, 100%. Like I said, I actually had them 11-1, 12-0 until I figured out Mordecai transferred to Wisconsin. And that makes me a little nervous on that game. But I think the worst that they could be is 10-2 with next year's schedule.
That's kind of where I'm at. I mean, I'm looking at the 2 losses either to Wisconsin and Penn State, or somehow they find ways to win those games.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think they still could because of Iowa's defense. But Mordecai is so accurate. I mean, I did his evaluation come out of high school as well. And
now, who is he? Is he a quarterback?
Mordecai, yeah, Tanner, yeah, he went to Oklahoma.
Okay, so he's the one that was in the spring. I mean, not spring, but he was throwing the ball all over the place for Oklahoma.
Oh no, he didn't really play for Oklahoma, which is why he transferred to SMU.
Okay, so the guy that they
He,
started in the spring game, he has like over 8,000 yards passing already,
yeah,
or something like that.
yeah,
And
in his
but of
career.
course, he blew up in the spring game. Things didn't work out for him.
Right, but he just got there, right?
Yeah, he just
Like
got there. Yeah,
like I said, I didn't even realize he transferred there.
yeah.
Once he learns the offense,
Hmm.
whatever that might be this year, um, Wisconsin's offense will be pretty good because of him. Mordecai
Right.
is a very good quarterback.
Yeah.
Now,
This.
Mordecai would have been the perfect quarterback for the last head coach, which I find really interesting
Hmm.
because he's really accurate. So, yeah, this is, I mean,
Yeah.
the Big Ten West is going to be pretty exciting, I think.
It's
It's
going to be a lot more wild than we anticipated.
yeah,
Um, I mean, with because of the transfer portal, I
yeah,
still don't see Purdue making any noise this year because they pretty much lost a lot of people, even though that they're signing a lot of people in the portal.
yeah.
Um,
I
you know,
don't. They got a lot.
Nebraska is probably the one I don't know much about. I know they've signed an awful lot of people in the portal under this new coach, but I still don't know what they're going to do next year.
They're talking. Huh, I'm going to tell you, they're talking up Jeff Sims,
Hmm?
their quarterback. Nebraska is talking up Jeff Sims like he's a stud, and he is not very good. So
Hmm.
they're talking like he's going to be the next Heisman Trophy quarterback, and no, he's not. He's it's going to be another one of those shocking years, like, well, but we have a good coach now. No, it's the same situation, and it's his first year.
Yeah.
And he's only had one good year of college football coaching. I don't get the fascination with it because he took Baylor, right? He took
Right.
Temple.
Right.
He turned them around, made them respectable programs, but he realistically only has one great year. But the
You
Big Ten,
talk about the coach, which that's the Cincinnati coach, right? Or is that the
no, Nebraska's coach.
Nebraska coach was Cincinnati's coach, right?
No,
I'm confused. Oh, wait a minute, wait a minute. I'm sorry. Wisconsin hired the Cincinnati coach. There's
yeah.
so many coaching changes. I'm sorry, Jason. I can't keep up with everybody.
That's okay.
I mean, the Big Ten is like wild with new coaches this year.
No, and I think it's going to be fun. I really do.
Yeah. Well, it's like, from what you hear in the talk, it's like, we're going to see a wide open Wisconsin team where they're used to running the ball. We're probably going to see more of a spread thing like we did with Cincinnati.
They're still
Not
going to
Cincinnati, Baylor.
they're
Um,
still going to run the football, but it will be out of the spread. You won't see as many tight ends on the field. You
I'm
won't
kind
see
of I'm
their
kind of disappointed because one of the last few teams that plays football like Iowa is going a different direction now. You
yep.
know, at least we
But
can still count on Michigan State play football like Iowa.
right, kind of.
Okay.
But
All
I
right.
think it'll be completely. I don't. It just depends on how Joey feels. He's a really good quarterback, so he'll go
Mhm.
somewhere and he might. It depends on where he goes.
Yeah.
He'll be really good.
Yeah. Emotion. Imagine the emotion roller coaster he's been on. He gets stuck on scout team last year. Okay. Um, gets elevated to starting quarterback for the bowl game, and of course, because of the transfers and injuries and stuff, everybody's assuming before the transfer portal hits that Joey's our guy for this year, for this coming up this season. So Joey's thinking that too. I'm the guy for the season, and then boom, we bring in two guys who are both now currently 1 and 2 ahead of him, at least temporarily.
Yeah, I think it'll be ultimately Joey will be number 2 to start the year.
Okay.
Um,
And he should be because he started one game for Hawkeyes. He does know the playbook better than they do.
yeah.
You
I mean,
know.
I feel he'll be number 2, but based on ability,
Hmm.
he showed a lot, right?
Right.
But
Makes you wonder why Deacon didn't play, for Wisconsin. You know, I think he
it's
only got scrubbed. I think he only had cleanup duty.
right, but it's just some coaches don't see. I mean, some coaches just don't see it. That's why you see other players go somewhere else and do really
Mm.
well.
Right.
So it just depends on and every player you can't put like coaches try to put players in this box. This is what I want you to do. Well, if you try to make players do what they really can't do,
Hmm.
then they're not going to be successful. And that goes all the way up to the NFL, where when you're drafted, just because you don't make one team doesn't mean you're not going to make another and be a very good player because the coach would see what you can do and
Right.
put you in the right box. So in this transfer, that's what it's kind of opened up at, is where you're going to see players not play here, but then excel here, right? Just because the coach knows what that player can do, and they lets the players do it that way. It's not like you have to do it this way.
Okay.
And so, I
All
mean, I
right.
just think, I hope Joey stays because I was going to need him, I think. Cade, he got injured. Who knows if he'll get injured again, right?
Right.
So, and I don't want a half-ass playbook because Deacon doesn't know the whole playbook,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Because I'm not hearing that he's doing the same hard work at learning the playbook.
Yeah.
However, Brian did say he's extremely smart and he's picking up things faster than any other quarterback.
Well, I think they both said that. Yeah, and his experience. I think the one thing too with Cade that I am concerned about, having gone through my own knee surgery now, and being told on my last visit that this could take a full year to fully recover, and even then I might be at 80%. So when we go back to Cade's full year, we're talking September or October for him for a full year on his knee surgery. Will he be ready to go full contact in August? Because he's going to need to go full contact and or at
Yeah,
least
he'll
go
play.
11 on 11 in summer camp and be ready to start the first game and take whatever's thrown at him.
Yeah, he's not an old man. He's remember.
Right, that's true. An old man out of shape
No,
with diabetes.
right. They said that he's 95% right now.
Okay, cool.
So I don't even know what that means. I mean, how you get 95%? Well, you having a little ache here and there. I mean, I don't know.
What
So
that means is he doesn't his knee hasn't got the full range of motion that it needs yet.
okay. So he's and they said he'll be full speed ahead come July. So
Okay. Yeah.
he'll be ready to go, and I
Yeah.
can't wait. I'm so excited for it. I'm excited for Marco to get on campus.
Yeah, we'll find out a little bit more about him in June when he starts doing the summer camp, or
Yeah,
not summer camp, but summer training before they do the camp.
cannot wait.
Do you expect Cade and those guys to get out and the receivers who finally get healthy by June to go out and you just start running routes with them every day before practice or before workouts or after workouts? Like Cade go out there and get the receivers he wasn't able to throw to all year,
Well, yeah, I expect
because
them
I
all,
think they're all expected back by June from what I heard.
yeah, I expect all of them to do that. I expect Kay to be working on his staying in shape,
Mhm.
getting stronger, getting working with it, just doing like a 5-7 step drop back.
Right.
Would work his knee, make him feel more comfortable in driving the football. If he could step forward, get full velocity on the ball. So yeah, I expect that. I mean, there would be no reason. I can't think of a rule in college football where they can't do that. Now they can't have coaches there with them,
Right.
but they should be able to go do that on their own.
Oh yeah, they're allowed to go and do that on their own.
Yeah.
Which some have in the past, and I think it would be good for them to get some timing routes down. Just to kind of
Yeah.
work on that.
They
But I
will.
mean, but I'm sure that they're doing that. I mean, if they're serious about winning. Let's move on to the depleted wide receiver group right now. We only had Dante Vines, who was a walk. I mean, not a walk on, but the only scholarship player. And they kind of quietly snuck that one past us that Nico was hurt because Nico started practices because I saw his pictures catching balls or videos catching balls, and in practice videos. So I'm not sure what happened to them, but they never really said that. All of a sudden it just became one scholarship player. The
I
other
don't.
guys, Wick, I heard did not get
Yep.
any balls thrown to him during the scrimmage. But I heard that Wetchen did. Wetchen, one of my guys, I like that guy. I heard he got some balls thrown his way. I don't know how he did because I don't know his number. And watching video on a cell phone is hard to do to pick out who's doing what.
No, the receivers will be fine. They'll be 100% fine. I'm not worried about it at all. That transfer kid from Ohio State, that walk on, I don't care about the scholarship
Right.
thing. Jamar Chase, do you know him for the Cincinnati Bengals?
Hmm.
He was a 1-star coming out of high school and went to LSU, and that's where he exploded. So no, I don't care about the walk on or scholarship.
Oh, I don't, and I
As
really
long as
don't either, because at Iowa, walk-ons have proved more than once to
yes, and last year
outshine the scholarship players.
these walk on receivers were wide open.
Hmm.
Like I don't want to hear it until they start dropping balls,
Right.
or until they stop getting open. Right? Who cares what they were before? As long as they catch the dang
Hmm.
ball, move the chains, and so no, and they were doing great. The receivers weren't dropping the ball. Matter of fact, I can't remember number 15's name. Son of a gun. I want to say he's a freshman. Anyway, he made one heck of a catch on a back shoulder throw.
Right.
The thing that was impressive is all the last 3 spring games, none of the quarterbacks looked good or could hit the receivers very well, right?
Hmm.
It just remember last year, it was awful. Peters
Yes, it
kept
was.
throwing interceptions, and then we just kept talking about how good our defense is, right? Well, this year they were scoring and scoring. Um, like it was, I mean, it was really good. The receivers were wide open. Joey hit a wide open receiver, but he missed 2 wide open receivers, right? So I'm talking on deep routes. He missed 2 on deep routes. I don't know who number 17 is either, because he smoked his guy. And then they're smoking Cooper and the starting DBs. These receivers are good. Just they have to get a chance to be good. They need a quarterback to get them the ball, and now they have one.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, number 15 here is listed as Jack Johnson. They don't say if that's the current number 15 that we saw in practice, but
Right.
this was the last year's roster. And number 17 is Jamison Hines, who's a DB,
Well,
and
he was playing.
he should be a senior coming up this year.
Okay. Well, he was playing wide receiver. I don't know if that's him though. Like I said, I only know their numbers. He was number 17 playing wide receiver, but and number 15, I don't think that was Jack Johnson, because I
Yeah.
know Jack Johnson, but
Yeah. Number
uh,
21 is Caden Wetjen. This is the guy who I'm going to be pulling for. He's going to be my guy this year. He'll be a senior this year coming up too. So
yeah, I
he
think
is.
he'll be the kickoff returner. That's what I
You
think.
think? Oh, the kickoff returner versus
Yeah,
punt returner.
I
Okay.
think Coop will be punt returner. I don't think they
Mhm.
could take the punt return duties away from Coop. I don't think they
Yeah.
can. He's already. I mean, he's proved the very few chances that he's gotten.
Mhm.
I mean, he did amazing. He did better than Charlie Jones ever did, as
Yeah.
far as average, right?
Yeah.
So, like, and there's 2 of them he should have ran all the way back for touchdowns. One of them he blamed himself because he let the punter tackle it.
Yeah.
So,
This is a guy too that I think they I wouldn't if they got a couple trick plays up their sleeves, they could actually probably stick him in offense for a couple plays.
oh yeah, they could do a lot. He's like but
He's
Parker has to let that go.
right.
Parker's the one that fights for players. He's like, you're not getting him, right?
Mhm. Right. Don't
So,
want to get him hurt.
right, if there's
Yeah.
something, it would
But
have to
Parker
be.
hint
Go
I
ahead.
think it was Parker that hinted that he wasn't sure about him doing punt return duties this year, but the special teams coach was the one going, "Oh yeah, he's going to be back there."
He wants to be. He needs the ball in his hands.
Yeah, yeah, you cannot not. I mean,
I mean, yeah, it's crazy.
okay. So
But
anyway, I just scrolled through, and I don't think I got the answers we were looking for on who number 15 was. But if anybody watching who I did send out a notice that we were going to be on here today. So wherever you guys are at, oh, just in time.
oh, I'm on private. I'm not even gonna discuss that.
Yeah. Well, he has to get his one dig in every episode.
I know.
We'll let him have that one.
Right. I mean, you have to talk about it because he's a part of Brian, right?
Right, you do. Yeah,
I
you
was
do.
just explaining the difference between the two and how much more Brian throws the ball than any of the other OCs that Kirk has had. So,
All right. Okay, let's move on to our tight ends, which we appear to have four that are really good, and I think one of those four may be switching to fullback because of injury to
Yeah.
Ezra Miller.
Mhm. I can't think of his name now. Large.
No, it's that. Yeah, Hayden Large.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's moving the fullback, which is fine.
which is fine. I mean, and they actually, when they coach the tight ends, they coach the fullbacks too. They're kind of like hand in hand,
Yeah,
work together, and so it's no problem there with me. But it seems like our tight ends are really loaded. It seemed like All and Lachey both just had an awesome day. From
yeah. Well, they are such good route runners that they're going out to play Laporta's position last year.
Mhm,
So, like where Laporta played outside at wide receiver,
mhm.
they're doing that with both Lachey and All as well.
Yeah, and that's what I was reading. I didn't understand. I don't know how you can tell sometimes, but they said yeah they were running him as a wideout like they did Laporta last year.
Yep.
That because of the lack of wide receivers,
It wasn't because of lack of wide receivers.
it's just because of the way he is, the
It's
way they
because
play.
how good he is.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
because how good of a route runner he is.
Mhm.
It's no different than when San Francisco does the same thing with George Kittle, or
Mhm.
Kelsey does it with the Chiefs. It's the same idea. When
Right.
you're as big as they are, going up against the DB, right? And when you put them out at
Mhm.
wide receiver, you're going up against a smaller player.
Right.
9 times out of 10. So any type of like in route or whatever you do, a quick slant, that's an easy 5 yards because you're going to box him out like basketball. Do a quick slant, get right inside, catch the ball, and then try to break the tackle or fall, whatever. But it's an easy 5 yards. So, I mean, I like how they put the tight ends out there now. 5 wide, double tight. I
Not
mean, you might
possible.
see it. You might
Would they
see it.
actually do it?
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. He does go spread. I mean, that's what Brian has. Went 5 wide before. It wouldn't be any different if he put in two tight ends instead of two receivers. So, a lot of times when Iowa goes 5 wide, though, they have their running back in, right? They use that same personnel, and then they put the running back all the way out. That's what Tyler Goodson was good at doing. So,
Right. Well, let's talk. Let's use this as a segue to talk about the running backs. We got three. We got Caleb Johnson as our big guy, and LaShawn Williams is they saying he was looking good as our number two, and Patterson. I can't believe that they're going to be able to hold him back and keep him at number three all season because they don't rarely use a third back. But that guy showed promise on what limited duties I saw him in the bowl game.
yeah, I think they should have him return kicks, like get back there as well,
Mm-hmm.
with Wetjen, in my opinion. But they'll just have a package for him. I think they're going to use all three,
Okay.
just like they did with Sargent. Um, Sargent, who's the fumble kid?
Young.
Sargent Young. No, Torrin Young was a stud.
Okay.
Um, Sargent Young, and then the kid that just kept fumbling the last couple of years. The heck's it? Number 21. Can't remember his name.
I can't remember
He
either.
kept having troubles. He kept fumbling the football. But
Yeah.
anyway, they used
Yeah.
all three of those guys for a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think they'll
Okay.
do something similar this year.
Yeah. And I guess in practice, the practice game, they were rarely brought up by anybody, so maybe they didn't do much. Um,
I mean,
I
you saw the highlights.
I saw the highlights, but I didn't see a lot of running back highlights.
Number two ran the football very well.
That would
Caleb.
be Caleb.
Yeah, Caleb. He ran the ball really well, especially out of the shotgun. I like seeing how they were running the ball out of the shotgun.
Mm-hmm.
So what they showed is they're going to work on some zone read stuff, probably with Mac, because Mac can move, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be interesting as well.
All right, let's move on to our O line. Let's talk about that. I believe three of the five were out with injuries for the spring, or is it four
Oh
out of five? Um,
no, I mean they got 9 that they think are going to start. So
right.
Kirk said he's got 9 guys that are going to be fighting for starting jobs.
Yeah.
So they were missing the 2 transfers, and
Yeah, I
then
noticed that.
and then they were missing the couple of the normal kids who played last year or whatever.
Yeah.
But they got 9 kids that they're seeing. I mean, the starting lineup could be the same one as last year, minus Plum, with that transfer kid.
Parker?
Is that his name, Parker?
Yeah.
So, no, I mean, the line's working. I'm not worried about the offensive line. I mean, the starting running back averaged 5 yards a carry last year. How does he average 5 yards a carry if the offensive line isn't moving anybody?
Right.
And I saw Petras have all day to throw the football. You give Cade all day to throw the football, and Cade's going to torch you.
Right.
So the offensive line is not a big deal. I know Kirk says it. I mean, he's got to say it because there are times where the offensive line breaks down. But it's on the quarterback to make a play when the offensive line does well.
Right.
And the offensive line has been breaking down the last 6 years. Like I said, you can go through highlights and see Stanley get his butt kicked. He got sacked 8 times against Michigan.
Right.
So I'm not worried about the offensive line like everybody else. I mean, it's just to me, it's so crazy the way people attack the offensive line. And the quarterback also can call the protections. There were some plays like against Nebraska where everybody called out Jack Plum for not for blocking down. Remember, and he didn't even block the outside guy. Like it looked like he was blocking nobody.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he.
Is that you?
Yeah, that's me. It's
okay.
It's the laptop.
Okay.
It's my wife getting messages, really, not me.
Mm-hmm.
So it pings. Because her the laptop is connected to her phone. Some bullcrap. I don't know. Anyway, so no, they're obviously going to get better because they were all like freshmen, sophomores last year.
Mm-hmm.
They all got a year of experience. So in my mind, they're going to get better, and they're going to have a quarterback now who can complete passes when they do block. Right? They're going to have some mental breakdowns. It's been going on for years at Iowa lately.
Right.
So, I mean, it's up to the quarterback to see it, to get the right protection out there, which is what Petras and Padilla could not do. Petras didn't even see it. Padilla didn't see it before he said hike, which is the silliest, craziest thing in the world to me. So, no, I think they're going to be. I think it's going to be great. I think they're going to be better, and even if they're a little bit better than they were last year, I mean, Iowa's going to be better for it because now they have all the pieces and they have the starting running back. Right? Last year they didn't really know about KJ yet, so
no. And how he quietly put up 600 and some odd yards rushing, and it's like, really, he had that much?
800. 800.
Huh? 800. That's what I meant. Yeah,
yeah. Almost 800. Yeah, but he averaged 5 yards a pop. That's how he got that much.
Right.
And he didn't even lead the team in carries, but he led the team in yards.
All right. Well, it's moving from the O-line. Let's go over to the D-line. Let's talk a little defense. I mean, it sounds like we've got some injuries there too, but it also sounds like we've got some talent that can plug some holes there. Did you get a chance to pay attention to the D-line?
Yeah. I just want to address.
Yeah, you can go ahead and address that. I saw it.
You're 100% right, Phil, about Cade's accuracy. You will see yards after catch because of Cade's accuracy. That's one thing that's not talked about enough is when the ball is put on time in the right place, the receivers can keep running. They don't have to turn around, catch it, fall down. I mean, that's a great point. Yards after catch, I think, is going to be huge this year because of Cade.
Right.
I mean,
that pass that he had to Dante Vines in the end zone. I mean, that was a thing of beauty. That was a thing of beauty. And I mean, I don't ever recall Petras ever making a throw like that.
And not only that, it was just, it didn't look like he threw it. He went like this, because it's like what he does all the time. that he was expecting that throw to be exactly where it was.
Hmm.
That was a throw you can't defend, no matter what. You could be all over the receiver, but if the ball's here,
Hmm.
and you could be all over him. But if it's out here, you're not going to be able to get to it.
Nope.
It was just a perfect throw, and as long
Yeah.
as Hines catches it,
Yeah. He did.
so
Okay.
yeah,
Well, I want to move on to the defensive line now. I want to.
yeah, I was just.
I know you were. Um,
But the D line is. I mean, they're saying. I mean, I don't know this for sure, but the buzz around saying they could be better than last year. So, I mean, they're just they didn't give up Black. Black didn't want to switch over to the offensive line. That's another thing I think shows how they're impressed with the improvement of the offensive line. They didn't even try Black at offensive line like they wanted to, right?
right.
So I think the defensive line is just going to do what they do. I think the defense in general, you're not going to have that 6'5" guy in the middle, and Jack Campbell. But I think the linebackers are going to do what Iowa linebackers do. Maybe not as many tip balls, because they don't have the size they have in the middle. That's what makes Jack special. It's his size, his ability to run, read, and the fact that he's 6'5", right? I mean, that's just nuts. But I think the defense is going to be there. The DBs, it sounds like, even with Jamari Harris, we all know he can play. He had 4 picks in the few games that he played 2 years ago, right? We all just put him in there at corner. Well, no, he's duking it out. Apparently the other DBs, Hall is stepping his game up, right? And he's a speedster, so if he can figure it out mentally, I mean, it's going to be really good for Hall.
Yeah.
But they do need their light. So if somebody gets hurt, that's the issue. Like they need to get one in the portal, and that's why I think Kirk said they're going after a receiver and a DB in the portal. I think.
Right.
So, and that's what they need to do for injury purposes.
So is that where our depth on the defense is the least at DB?
Yeah.
And we're okay at linebacker?
Yeah. It sounds like it's a lot like, last year the DBs were the weak link as far as depth because of all the injuries. They were all the way down against Nebraska. They had to have 2 true freshmen playing.
Right. And we saw what happened with Hall against Nebraska. But, that brings back memories of Riley Mawson when he got burned by Purdue.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I hope they get another receiver, another DB. But I believe the defense is going to be Iowa defense.
Yeah.
But for Iowa fans, this is what's driving me nuts that I've been discussing for the last couple of weeks with Iowa fans. You're not going to have 30 points for offense a game when you have a defense as good as Iowa's, and the head coach, once you get a 21-0 lead, 17-0 lead for that matter, he stops the offense. Now it'll be up to Cade to make that third down play, because when they get up 17-0, they'll run the ball on first and second down, regardless if it's in the 8 or 9 guys, right? That's what we've seen. So, but the difference is you'll have to have Cade make that third down play to keep the drive going, because they'll give him a chance on third down to get the first down. That will be another way the time of possession will go up for Iowa. That'll be another way to stop those 3 and outs. Are you sleeping over there?
Me? No.
Are your eyes open?
Yeah.
Your glasses make it look like you were sleeping.
No, I was just listening. I'm just trying to get in a comfortable position to listen.
No, that's fine. It's just I couldn't see your eyes. But no, it's Iowa's not gonna, like, everybody's all up in arms about this 25 points a game. It should be offensive. Well, how are you gonna have 25 points a game offensive when you're up 17-0 and your head coach stops you from scoring?
Right. And I think that was a realistic goal. I think they made a realistic goal.
It's realistic, and Iowa, the reason why it's 25 points is Iowa is 55-3 in the last 58 games that they scored 25 points.
Right.
So, I mean, that's why that's the benchmark. I mean, it's silly to think, and everybody's like, we got to be top 50 in total offense. No, they don't. Not when you have a defense this good, right?
Just got to be serviceable.
In the beginning, the first half, yeah, you got to find a way. The offense needs to find a way to build that lead, right? You can't handicap the offense in the first half.
Unless the defense gives you a 14-point lead right out of the gate.
Right. On those pick sixes, that's another thing is Iowa intercepts the ball so much and they get so many pick sixes that takes a full possession away from Iowa offense, right?
Right.
Because they get a pick six. Well, that's -1 possession right there for Iowa's offense to get yards. That was the bowl game, right? 2 pick sixes. It's 21-0 in the second quarter, and Kirk doesn't know what to do because he's like, "Crap! Now I gotta shut down the offense because I want the clock to go." So it annoys me that people still think that total yards matter. Total yards matter if you're a Tennessee Volunteer. They run the no huddle, no defense type game, right? They're just balls to the wall. Yeah, if they don't get total yards, their defense is going to be wore out.
Yeah. But I got to admit, I kind of miss the Hayden Fry days when Hayden just put the pedal to the metal and it didn't pull it up until the game was over. When we used to beat Northwestern by 60-0, or similar scores, that kind of.
That was before Northwestern got good, though.
Yeah, I know.
I remember that because he wasn't going out to Northwestern in the 90s. He couldn't score against Northwestern in the 90s.
I know Northwestern got pretty good there in the 90s, and
2 Rose Bowls if I remember right. So but he wasn't throwing the football doing that. He was just a razzle dazzle. He was running fullback dives. If Iowa ran Hayden Fry's offense right now, they would still be mad. Remember Lou Montgomery and all those fullbacks that were getting the fullback dive up the middle and stuff? The fans now would go nuts because they want 5 wide, throw the ball everywhere type stuff when that's not Kirk's way. And Kirk puts most of his best talent on the defensive side of the ball, right? He wants to play defense because if you keep the other team from scoring, you're going to win more often than not. The only bad part is when you go up against a good defense, and that's when Iowa struggles. So it's a two-edged sword that he has his way of winning. But now Cade and Brian need to figure out a way to score when the defense isn't doing their thing.
Right.
And that's what I think where Kirk will let go of the offense when it's, 17-17 in the fourth quarter where the offense still has to keep going. But that hurts the end of season stats for total yards. Right. When you're up 17-0 and then you shut the offense down. So you're not going to have a top offense because you're not balls to the wall.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bill Parker.
Yeah, Nick
put
Bell.
on there. Nick Bell. I have a practice helmet signed by Nick Bell. Yeah, I don't know if you can even see that anymore. Nah. It's barely on there anymore. But this is
you could see a little bit.
Yeah.
You can see it says a name. It says something.
Yeah. Nick Bell. Anyhow, I just wanted to show that since he brought that up. It's one of my prized possessions. We found that at a yard sale here in California.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. My buddy found it and called me up and he says, "Do you want it?" And I go, "Of course I do." He bought it. It was $5. And he just gave it to me. He wouldn't take the $5 from me for it.
Right.
Yeah. Because, somehow it was an NFL player who had the yard sale and he was selling all of his football helmets. And, I guess these guys, they sometimes went in bowl games and stuff, they trade helmets and stuff at the end of the thing. And so somehow he traded helmets with Nick Bell and he had Nick Bell's helmet.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. This upcoming season could be a special one. Not going to lie.
I'm going to put that one back.
It could be another 12-0 season, but don't expect Nebraska to be ranked, just so you know. That's not.
Early season predictions have Nebraska going 7-5 and beating Iowa.
Well, of course. mean,
They're always beating Iowa.
They're always beating Iowa, and they've done it once in the last 9 tries, right?
Right. And if we hadn't been for some injuries, I don't think we would have lost to them this year either.
No. If Duke doesn't get hurt, they don't lose.
Right. It's a sad thing to think about how close we came to going back to the Big Ten title game in back-to-back years, and that would have been so special.
Yeah. But, I mean, Coop got hurt, and they had to bring in the freshmen. That's where the depth comes in, right? They need some more depth just to be safe. That was the worst. And then Nebraska gets up, 24-0, and then they end up winning 24-17. So if they didn't get those, if we didn't spot them, and freaking Bruce fumbled a punt inside the 20, I mean, good Lord. It was just a snowball effect before Iowa decided to show up and play.
Right. Well, our offense made a lot of stupid errors this year that cost us games. Iowa State game comes to mind.
I don't know.
Paul is at work. Paul is at work.
What are those emojis?
It look like mushrooms.
And his
Florida Paul insight.
I mean, I agree. It's more fun with Paul because Paul is always funny, right? Yeah. He always comes up with something funny to make us laugh.
Right.
I don't know what they look like. Fart clouds to me. I don't know.
Oh. I was going to say mushrooms, like he's on some wacky tobacco or something.
I don't know.
No, we would love to have Paul here. We didn't want to do this without Paul, but we also wanted to get this done. So Paul's at work doing his thing.
Yep. We'll have to have, obviously, another baseball, softball podcast with.
We will.
With some more football, because once summer's coming, baby, it's coming. It's going to be fun now.
But we want to do some fun things. I want to do some early season predictions, but I kind of want to wait and see who gets who in the portal.
Oh, you were right. He was.
I knew it.
You were right. I didn't even think about that.
I hope Paul watches this video long enough to see this because he'll be appreciated about it.
Yeah, that I wasn't even thinking that, but now it makes sense. 100% makes sense. Sometimes he looks like he's on wacky tobacco. His eyes are.
Well, he was so tired when we do these things that it's 9 o'clock his time after he's worked all day. Yeah. And he's got to get to bed.
Yeah, we need to start doing this like every Saturday morning or something where he's home so he can be on.
Right. I mean, we don't have anything going on Saturday morning right away anymore. So we should do that.
We can. I mean, we can. We still got baseball and softball to talk about. And baseball swept Nebraska last weekend.
Oh yeah, that was fantastic. I was following that, and they made it look easy all 3 games.
Yeah, and that came off of losing to the Iowa fans just saying, "Oh, it's another bad year of Iowa baseball," because they lost to.
Was it Bradley?
No, they beat Bradley. They lost to the other one.
Illinois. It's something Illinois, Eastern Illinois, Western Illinois.
Something like that. But they lost that game, so Iowa fans, who obviously, just like football, don't understand the coach's logic, right? Mm-hmm. Heller uses the midweek games to get players on the field, right? He doesn't have his starting pitching. He doesn't, which is why they gave up 12 runs.
Right.
He uses other pitchers in those games. He only gives his pitchers like 1 or 2 innings in those games.
Yeah.
So he pitches a lot of pitchers.
Well, do you see him continuing to do that now that that he knows now that he pretty much has to sweep the rest of the Big Ten and maybe beat the rest of the midweek teams that they play?
He really
in order to get to playoffs, because right now I don't see them in the playoffs with the record the way it is.
They're a 3 seed.
They're a 3 seed?
They're a projected 3 seed.
Okay, all right.
Losing those games have hurt their RPI. It's in the 40s. Mm-hmm. That if they didn't lose those midweek games, it'd be down in the 20s, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So because even those games that they play, which I don't like it, which is why they play them on the road. If you notice, they played at that Illinois school, is because even if you beat them, it hurts your RPI. Mm-hmm. So it's a lose-lose situation regardless when you play those teams for
Right.
your RPI. But I don't see him changing as long as they stick, because they're what, 29 and 10, I think.
Yeah.
So maybe 30 and 10. They're a projected 3 seed. So I still, as long as they keep doing what they do in the Big Ten, I'm not sure the midweek is going to hurt them as much this year because of the strength of schedule in the non-conference. They beat number 1 LSU, right? So they have those big wins. Now they're going to have to take the series from Indiana, Maryland, like those top teams in the conference. They're going to have to win 2 out of 3 of those. They can't go 1 and 2 again like they did last time.
No.
They'll be at Iowa this time. So they'll
Right.
have to at least take the series in those.
Yeah. And then softball went up, and I believe they lost 3 at Minnesota this weekend.
Yeah, it was rough. 2 of them in extra innings. Yeah, it was rough. Their offense, I mean, got to give it to Minnesota. They got one of the best pitchers in the country.
Right.
That number 25 was a beast. She pitched all 3 games.
She did? That is
Yeah.
a beast. That is a beast.
She pitched, and she pitched the third game, the last 3 innings of it, which went to 9 innings. I think it went to 9. Iowa lost it in 9 innings.
Mm.
But she struck out 30 batters over the weekend. 30. Yeah, she struck out like 10 in game, maybe 11 in game 1, 14 in game 2, and then in game 3 she finished it up and ended up with 30 total for the weekend. It was crazy. It was just nuts. They couldn't hit her. Iowa hitters could not hit her. She's a beast.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, right now they have an 8-9 Big Ten record, which seems odd because that's an odd number. So I thought they played even. Never mind.
Well,
I'm not thinking straight.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll let you catch up to that one.
Yeah. Okay. But anyway, let's kind of wrap up. We're getting at the end here. Let's wrap up our spring.
I have to admit that I haven't seen the ISU's new uniforms. I haven't even been paying attention.
Oh, they are sweet. They are sweet, just like he said they are.
They're not black, though, right?
No, they're the usual colors, but instead of saying ISU on their helmet, I believe it just says Ames on them. Oh, I don't know. I don't know if they're just bringing it out for all their games or just one game. I'm unclear about that, but they are sweet. I mean, I really liked them.
Yes, Casey. We talked about the beginning of this. Go back and rewatch the video, and I explained that. Based on talent alone, or the talent and how spring went, they had a real evaluation, right, of the quarterbacks. And Hill was better than Joey. Now, if game were to start, if we had game day tomorrow, Joey would be number 2 because he knows the playbook. Hill doesn't know the playbook, not even close yet. But in the plays that he ran over the spring and his skill set apparently are better. He's neck and neck with Joey, right? But right now they said Deacon is looking good. I'm shocked that Deacon is number 2, but if the season were to actually start, I'm impressed that they actually did a real QB evaluation, though. I am. I'm so shocked. We all knew Cade was number 1, so that's not even. So I had one guy argue with me about that. How's an evaluation? They already named Cade number 1. I mean, you got to be silly.
We already knew that was going to happen.
You got to be silly to not understand that question. But I think Joey will end up taking number 2 before the season starts, just because Hill will have to keep learning more and more of the playbook. Mac is going in at 4 a.m. every day to learn the playbook, to get it down, and he has Petrus helping, right? So Spencer's going to be working with him as well and learning the playbook, which is going to help a ton. It's like having a tutor when you're taking a test, right? There's a class you have to pass, and you have a tutor. Yeah. And it helps you learn quicker. Well, that's what Spencer's going to be. I mean, he's going to help him learn the offense faster.
Hopefully he's not telling him, okay, now take a sack if the play breaks.
That's not what coaching is.
I know that.
This is the one.
I
No,
was just trying to add a little Paul humor in here since we don't have
right?
Paul
No,
today.
I know, but that's the thing I've been arguing with people all week as well. Is people saying stuff like that when, I mean, you could look at all the best players in history and then look at their coaching, or even take Michael Jordan his GM days. Michael Jordan can do everything. He's the best, right? But he has no idea how to teach somebody to do some things. He can't even find guys to be him, right? He's a bad GM. I mean, John Elway, yeah, Denver won a Super Bowl, but what did he do? He went and got Peyton Manning. So it wasn't like John Elway found the right quarterback. Look at all the other quarterbacks that John Elway drafted. You'd think he would know, right? Because he can do. No, the best coaches are when they were players, they weren't very well. They weren't very good. I mean, Dabo Sweeney, I think he ended his college career with like 20 catches, right? And Saban, he didn't have much of a college career at all.
Yeah.
Mike Leach, my guy, played rugby in college.
Those who can't play can coach.
Right. That's how it usually is, because you know everything you're supposed to do. You just couldn't do it. Right.
Which is why I was a successful soccer coach.
and people who can do everything very well, they don't understand why other people can't do those things. They're like, I told you, no, you do, but you do this, and no, it doesn't. It's a weird thing. It's just how it's always been. There's a reason. There's that saying, those who can't do, teach it. Right.
Right. Yeah.
It's because they have
It's
to.
like Caitlin Clark can never be a basketball coach.
Well, probably not, but she can yell at you.
I know.
She'll be like, shoot it from 30 feet. I can't, coach. I can't.
I'm not you, coach.
So, no, I mean, that's just the thing. I mean, I think because of work ethic alone and how smart Petrus is, that he's going to be a good coach. You can learn how to coach things, right?
I think he will.
You can't.
I expect him to be a good coach, just like I expect Connor McCaffrey to be a good basketball coach.
Oh yeah, 100%. You could see there's another guy that he knows everything on the basketball on the basketball floor, but he can't do everything.
Right.
Right. So.
Right.
It's the helmets that make it. So do the helmets have?
I believe they were white helmets with the word Ames across the side of them. Phil, can you verify that? I know that the Ames. We both agree that the Ames is on there, but I can't remember the color of the helmet. I think they were white.
Without I agree, of course. Without the mustache.
I know. That's why it's up there. I love, if we don't have one thing we can take rel is that we don't have Paul here to make funnies for us, but we certainly have Phil Parker Paul doing it for us.
I mean, yeah, when somebody comes up with Phil Parker's paw as a name, that tells you something right.
Yeah.
But anyway, alrighty. Anything else?
No, I mean, is there anything you want to say just to kind of wrap up the spring football?
Just that. I mean, get ready. It's gonna be a fun year. I was really excited about what I saw.
Yeah.
From a coaching standpoint, the quarterbacks, but you have to know what you're watching when you're watching like 7-on-7 with Cade. Like you said, nobody was rushing. Well, 7-on-7, it's all about here. So it's all about your arm being accurate and seeing the defense. Cade saw it, right?
Yeah.
And he got the ball out. So we can't take too much into, well, no one was rushing him. Well, yeah, but look what he did in 7-on-7. As long as the line gives him 3 seconds, 3 to 4 seconds, he's going to pick you apart. I mean, he showed that, right? So it just shows that he can read a defense. I'm excited about the tight ends. Apparently, we have 2 first-round draft picks possibly again at tight end this year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there is a lot. The defense will be the defense. They may not be as good as last year, but that only means the offense will actually get a chance to be more, right?
You know what the sad thing about it is Cooper's going into his junior year. Lachey's in his junior year. All is technically a senior. All these guys could go to the NFL next year.
Well, right. And
After we can have a great season, but none of them will be coming back for another year after that.
I don't know. There's an NFL guy. I can't remember which one it was, and I don't want to say somebody it wasn't. But there is an NFL guy that said Cooper would be the number one safety coming out into the draft this year if he was able to.
Yeah, and he wasn't able because he's got one more year. He has to play one more year
So
before he's
they're
eligible.
already seeing Cooper. Like he said, he would be the number one safety this year
Wow.
coming into the draft. So next year, you could have two tight ends at the top. You could have Coop at the top at corner safety, whatever. It sounds like he's going to be a safety in NFL. I mean, next year's draft could be a lot of fun as well.
Where does X play in his career at? A safety?
He's a safety.
Okay. And he's got 2 years of eligibility yet before he can go to the NFL. So if he has any kind of a Cooper type year next year, we get him back for another year before he can go.
And I think he will. Like he's showed a lot. As long as he can stay disciplined and not get burnt deep and stuff, right? Because playing free safety, I mean, it's tough. You got to stay back. Merriweather took a lot for him to learn. They just don't get beat deep. That's the Parker's way, right? You got to come up and stop the run as well, but you also have to stay deep if they pass, so you can't get tricked on the play action pass.
Merriweather is the one I'm predicting out of the 5 in the draft that may either go undrafted and get signed as a free agent, or he gets drafted late in the later rounds.
He'll be drafted late in the later rounds. He'll be drafted though. He had a really good combine.
Oh, he did. Okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking he had the worst of the combine of all the guys.
Well, he might have, but they still surprised him with the speed.
Okay.
Nobody knew he was as fast as he is.
Yeah.
And his instincts and stuff to get to the ball.
Yeah. I will tell you this. One of the things I like about Merriweather is he did I think it was an Instagram or a Facebook Live at a party he was at during COVID. And I happened to run into it while I was sitting in the car waiting for my wife to come out of the store. And I started interacting with him on the live, and he was interacting back. And I mean, we were just having a little chit chat. I don't know if he'll ever remember that, but I remember it because here's a football player who took the time to talk to a lowly fan on a live Facebook or a live Instagram.
He just saw that you're an old man. He's like, I better
chat with him for a minute, huh?
I'll say hi to this old guy.
Yeah.
But no, I think Merriweather will get drafted, but it will be late. So, I mean, we'll see though. It's going to be fun. Summer's getting here. It's almost time. And I think this could be another 2015 year. Only I think Iowa has a shot because of defense.
Well, I think one of the things is people are excited about this season. I think everybody agrees that this could be a special season. The schedule's certainly in our favor, but we don't want to forget, that Nebraska's supposed to be improved this year. Illinois is definitely improved. And I don't know where Minnesota is. I've never, they seem to have one great year and then they fall back to mediocrity again. Well, so I have no idea what we're going to get with Minnesota this year.
Same with Illinois. They lost their studs. They lost their twins. They lost the quarterback. So
yeah, I mean, on offense, they're going to be hurting a little bit. But from what I hear, they didn't lose much except for their defensive coordinator on defense.
Yeah, I mean I
was kind of watching the
I'm not worried
yesterday. Waiting for Kirk Ferentz's interview, which, by the way, if anybody missed it, you got to find it and replay that. That was a great interview.
Yeah.
That was as open as I've ever seen Kirk be. But when they were talking about the Illinois, they were saying, the defensive coordinator is now gone, but he looks, but the 5 studs that they have are pretty well set again.
Yeah, but we now have a quarterback. We're not going to lose to Illinois 9-6 like we did last year.
Oh no, and we actually almost won that game if somebody named Riley hadn't stepped out of bounds on it at pick 6.
Yeah.
And he still didn't look like he stepped out that much. It was like barely. How those refs saw that, I'll never know.
It's just, I'm not worried about now that we have an offense, we have a quarterback. I'm not worried about those other teams. Nebraska's not going to be improved. And now they're all making excuses because all they did was turn the ball over in the spring game. But I mean, they're going to have the first year coach jitters. They're
Mm-hmm.
going to have, because this coach he hasn't won anywhere in his first year. Like, it takes him a while, and then he has that special year. He's not Nick
Yeah.
Saban, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's just crazy that.
Well, it's funny how he has one special year and then he's the savior, and then they yank him out of the schools that he's at. Why not wait? I mean, why not wait until you see if a guy has what it takes and he's just not playing off of other people's recruits and stuff.
Right.
You know, I mean,
Usually,
an example of this was the year after Tom Davis left Drake, his son took over the team, had a very good run in the NCAA, did very well. And so Providence hires him, and it turns out that all Tom Davis' son was doing was playing his father's recruits and players. And once he got to Providence, he couldn't do it on his own. I don't think he ever had a winning season at Providence while he was there.
he should Keno should have stayed at Drake. He had it going at Drake, but his head got too big. He wanted to go somewhere else. Keno was a very good coach,
Okay.
but like his dad was a very good coach, but couldn't recruit either.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, if he could recruit, he probably would have won national titles for Iowa. Davis.
What they should have did was have Tom Davis as head coach and George Raveling as the assistant coach in charge of recruiting, because everybody knows Raveling, he still won 20 games all 3 of his years he was there, but but boy, it was his recruits that carried Tom Davis the first couple seasons to start with.
Yeah, to almost Final Four territory. I mean, he was in the Elite 8, had a big lead and blew the big lead in Elite 8. So
there was one Tom Davis's first team. There was one Lute Olson holdover. Do you remember who that was?
Who?
It was Brad Lohaus. They put him at the front of you know how they used to do the press? They would always put Lohaus didn't get hardly any run or playing time under Raveling or Lute Olson. Tom Davis comes in and says, I'm just going to put this guy at the front of the press. And people couldn't get the ball in bounds on him.
Yeah. So, So I'm excited. I guess I should end it because I could talk forever.
Yeah,
I'm just excited because it's almost summer. And football season's coming, and I'm excited about what I saw in 7-on-7 from the quarterback position. The receivers were getting open against Iowa's DBs, and the quarterbacks were hitting them. So that's all we can ask for, right? This was a completely different spring game than the last 2. So
yeah. So our next podcast, we're not sure exactly when, but we'll have some softball and baseball to go with it. Later this summer, I really want to hit the football and just do some fun things with it for speculation purposes.
Oh yeah.
We'll do some fun thing, and I want to do some fun stuff because it's going to be dead period. They're going to be any news. We will probably have a couple of transfer portal signees. We hope. Hopefully a wide receiver, and I guess another DB is what we're looking at.
Yeah.
So hopefully who that will be, we do not know. We will know soon. Hopefully.
Hopefully. All righty.
All right. Take care, buddy. Take care, everybody. Thanks for watching. If you made it this far.
Bye, Terry. Bye, Paul.
Oh, by the way, if you made it this far, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Let's get those numbers up. It's been stagnant for a while, but we don't do a lot anymore, so maybe that's why.
Like it and share it and subscribe. Right?
There you go. And hit the little bell button so you get notified when we go live, and then I don't have to go on Facebook and bump everybody's everybody's group things. Say, hey, we're going to go live at 8:30, and then end up at 8:15 on the air.
All right. See ya.
All right. Take care.